So these two guys really dislike each other. Enter Dwayne Johnson and Tyrese Gibson, who worked together in the Fast and Furious franchise where they both made millions of dollars doing it, but at the same time, they definitely had a lot of issues behind the scenes, and because of that, Tyrese Gibson has trashed Dwayne Johnson heavily, and yeah, the feeling's mutual. And where this all starts is the first Fast and Furious movie, which was a hit, making $207 million on a budget of $38 million, but at the same time, Vin Diesel wasn't actually that happy with the idea of it becoming a franchise, so he didn't want to do a sequel. And the reason Vin Diesel didn't want to come back to Fast and Furious was he did Saving Private Ryan, he did Boiler Room, he just started the Riddick franchise, and he honestly thought Fast and Furious was going to be beneath him because he was going to be seen as this serious actor. And that's where we meet Tyrese Gibson, who joined Fast and the Furious 2 to replace Vin Diesel as a main character, but at the same time, that movie just didn't do as well, where even though it was successful making $236 million, it cost $78 million to make, so it wasn't as profitable for the company. Because the reviews weren't good, Paul Walker decided to join Vin Diesel, telling Universal he was out of Fast and Furious and didn't want to do Fast and Furious 3. Because that, the studio decided to have none of the original cast in Tokyo Drift, but then they realized they needed some sort of connection. They thought of Vin Diesel. And Vin Diesel at the time wasn't even thinking about Fast and Furious because his whole attention was trying to make the Riddick franchise a bigger thing than it was, so Universal had one big offer for him. That was to appear in a cameo for Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift just so they can say he's in the movie and use him for marketing, and in return he'd get to own a lot of the Riddick franchise and basically be in complete control of it. And because there was so much hype built around the cameo, Vin Diesel decided to come back for Fast and Furious 4 as well as Paul Walker, and yeah, that was a hit, $360 million on a budget of $85 million, but the problem was the reviews were not that good. Now entered Dwayne Johnson, who joined the Fast and Furious franchise with Fast and Furious 5 because of fan demand and also Universal thinking they need to spice things up. So Dwayne Johnson joins and the movie's a huge hit. It makes $626 million on a budget of $125 million, but the problem is Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel do not like each other. Basically, the complaint being after doing the sixth Fast and Furious movie that Vin Diesel is too controlling on set, he'd criticized Dwayne Johnson's acting, and these two guys just can't stand each other and they're refusing to work with each other again. Because of that, Universal had an idea. They wanted to keep Dwayne Johnson on, but they knew him and Vin Diesel weren't going to work together on another Fast and Furious movie, so they came up with the idea to do a spin-off movie called Hobbs and Shaw with Jason Statham and Dwayne Johnson, and that was a hit, but the problem was it delayed Fast and Furious from getting another sequel. That really pissed off Tyrese Gibson, who's had a lot of financial issues, with one big example being his 2009 divorce to Nora Mitchell, where she took over $1 million from him, kept taking large amounts of alimony from him, and he also had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. His second divorce in the late 2010s to Samantha Lee was even worse because he spent over $1 million on legal fees, and then at the same time she was still taking $20,000 a month from him from child support, another $20,000 a month in alimony, and yeah, he was actually broke. Also important to know that Tyrese Gibson definitely is not the highest paid guy in the Fast and Furious team, where Vin Diesel makes about $25 million a movie, Dwayne Johnson got $20 million for Hobbs and Shaw, but at the same time, Tyrese Gibson only gets about $750,000 a movie, which might seem like a lot, but he has to live on that for years and he's having other financial issues. So because of that, he publicly trashed Dwayne Johnson as a selfish prick, and now the two hate each other, and with that, I'm Charles Sproul. Subscribe to learn something.